So we live in a sad day and age where if you use ballistics, audio, science, and reasoning, then you're a conspiracy theorist. Whereas if you use just, propaganda and use people's faith against them, then that's acceptable. Well, here's the facts. The rapport, if you watch the instant video, which I'm considering making one that's on repeat 10 times or 10 hours worth, so that you have to see how the rapport of the shot arrives at the same time as the shot, which is not possible at 375 feet. That alone ends the debate about whether or not someone shot a 30-06 375 feet away. The whole reason why guns make the pop they do is because the bullets are supersonic, which means they're traveling faster than sound. The further the distance, the more ahead of the sound that they get. Nevertheless, what's been bothering me lately is the necklace debunking of Range Day Bro and others similar. Now, we'll start with the earpiece idea. I believe it has been officially debunked that he didn't have an earpiece, but I just wanted to point out that if his head made a whipping motion, the earpiece, when it comes out and then flies back, could make that arc. The problem is you would see the earpiece itself unless it's shattered. So I really don't think that what we saw was remotely the earpiece. So it really just comes down to two possible theories. One, that from 375 feet, a 30-06 traveling at 2,800 feet per second came down, zeroed at level, but came downward on a caliber known for its arc, and accurately struck here and did not emerge out the back, exploding half of his neck, like you would expect with ballistics. I saw Nancy Grace say that it's quite common for this to happen in shootings. Well, we're not talking about 22s and 32 ACPs and 38 specials here. We're talking about a 30-06 round. It just doesn't happen. They're moving like this. When they hit, they're going to go right through. The Carcano round that hit JFK went through JFK, went through a governor, and into the dashboard in the car. So that's not going to happen. But this argument is that it came down and hit, and then so he supposedly moved this way, causing this necklace to whip up all the way past this this is called the occipital condyle, past and up higher than that, and snap. Now, there's a couple of problems with this idea. First of all, when the body moves in this direction, inertia dictates that this chain will be rapidly thrown against the skin in this direction. You see, because the chain wants to stay where it's at. So when the body is moving this way, the chain wants to go that way. Now, that if there was a soft plate, which I think has been debunked, possibly the plate would kick it up. Possibly. The other possibility, of course, is that something explosive was on here, and somehow that's associated. That's the least possible of the three scenarios. The other one, which is what the video footage shows, is that something strikes at his head, and his head immediately goes this way. When that happens, there's already something coming up and above. The wound appears after another frame and after another frame. The frame in between, something is poking through the skin, and then the wound appears, but by then his head goes from here to whipping back. Okay, so first when he's hit, he seizes this way. Under this theory, he'd be being shot in the medulla oblongata, causing a nervous system seizure that is instantaneous and uncontrollable. His whole body would seize. He would be technically instantly dead, even though the functions of his body would continue, giving the impression that he could be recovered, assuming, as they probably did, that he was hitting the jugular. Because if he was only hitting the jugular and there was no exit, he probably should have been able to be saved, despite the blood loss. But if he's hit in the medulla oblongata, then the death is instantaneous, which is why it's a chosen place for assassinations. In the movie Miami Vice, the woman explains, I'm going to shoot you in the medulla oblongata before you can pull the trigger. That's why she says that. Okay, now, if it hits here, there's going to be a wave that goes through this chain, and the wave will come this way, as his body trembles. And I want to make another point. If he shot from that direction, assuming a neutral body, which he was sitting pretty neutral, he'd already set down the microphone, which would, if it wasn't set down, would bias him in this direction. When he's hit this way, his body would want to go to the right. However, it did not. When it hit him, he seized up, bounced, then his head rolled, and then because he was hit from this side, he sagged to the left. Very simple physics. And I'm old enough to remember before 9/11 and before the Obama administration and everything where we believed in physics. Nevertheless, let's explain the inertia thing one more time. This necklace is at rest. It wants to stay at rest. If I hit from the front with a 30-06, the body will move this way. It has no choice. That's Newton's law. When that happens, the necklace will be thrown against it. Then that energy will transfer in, then it will whip, but it won't do so before the wound appears. I don't know how to explain it to people more, but you have to be intelligent enough to understand. I know that people have been drinking fluoride for 60, 70 years, but the wound would not appear before the bullet arrives. The chain would not snap above his occiput faster than the bullet hole appears. Now, if you have trouble with this basic logic, contact your high school where you got your diploma and blame them. You have any questions? It's pretty straightforward, isn't it?
Yeah.
Remember, when you watch the original footage, him getting hit and moving happens when the shot happens. There's a less than 100 millisecond delay. You need a 333 millisecond delay for a 375-foot shot. So it is not possible for him to be shot at the same time the sound arrives. That means he was shot in 40 to 100 feet in the vicinity of Charlie Kirk. Never forget also that if the bullet did hit from a high angle above here, it didn't come through a window, it probably came down and then it was struck the ground. It might have even gone through the stage, which would mean Turning Point USA was in on it, which I've already suspected because they took the footage. There was one other thing that actually did come up. There's a footage that comes from the side like this. And somebody said, oh, the exit blew his shirt backwards. Except there's no exit here. There's no exit on this side at all. This has been confirmed by Candace and confirmed by the side footage. That is when the projectile, it may not be a bullet, but it's a small arms fire. When that projectile hit here below the occipital condyle, it creates a shockwave. You can see in the video that spreads out. His body seizes this way, then rocks, and then falls back. That shockwave goes and blows underneath of his shirt because it's loose, probably because he's wearing a necklace. Guess what you don't see in that angle? You don't see a necklace instantly rise up and snap and break off of him. Because that's not physics. I hope that answers some of those basic questions. There is no doubt that he was hit from behind and to the right. Just like with JFK, there's no doubt he was hit from behind and to the left. The echo off the grassy knoll misled people and think there's a shooter there, but it's just an echo. That's it.